he wasn't calming down. Like, it wasn't like after 5 minutes he calmed down, and after like 10 minutes he was still like so sensitive.
So was he barking at them first?
First, yeah, but then like slowly, Hathan sort of, I should say Hathan, that's how you pronounce it.
Okay, Hathan.
Slowly gave him more and more cheese, and then Ivan was just chill, just walking around until the other dog showed up, and we went insane. I put him in a little telephone booth, glass telephone booth, because it didn't make any noise, and you could literally be watching him jump like this.
Oh, and it made no noise though?
It made no noise.
Oh,
right?
nice. Soundproof little room.
You could see him. And yeah, and then eventually I was just like, he's...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
I mean, he does get tired eventually.
But he is very ramped up when he sees dogs. Okay, we'll just walk across here, and we'll start out maybe at the dog park. But of course, if we see dogs along here, we'll be able to use this distance.
Okay.
Now, the reason why this is good is because it's longer than across the street. It's more than double that, because across the street, it's too close for his trigger distance. But also, he's probably less territorial. Well, you don't really see it right now, but the more improvement he makes, you'll see that the better he'll do other places outside of your complex. Okay. He's very territorial there. He's going to be more on edge there. Right now, because you're seeing everything come out at once, you don't really see a huge difference. You'll definitely see that. So it's good to start at a place that's a little bit more neutral for him to take out that territorial aspect in general. And that could be why when he just got alert about a dog, we were able to snap him out of it. I don't remember ever walking away and him just like turning like that, turning his back. So that's really good progress. Okay, we'll walk up here. Let me know if you see a dog. There's no reason why you can't do the wait out the door every time, even if it's not opening the door all the way, then saying okay, even if it's like, wait, okay. Because what's important is that it's your command. I'm telling you we can go out, and then you can start to increase the time where you say okay. But that's super important to know that he just stays with you the whole way. Because if leash goes on and his mind is already out the door, you've lost him. The further you go, the more you lose him. The goal with everything with him, with an anxious, reactive dog, is like, stay present with me. And if he did that, but think about the majority of his life, he's always like thinking ahead. He's like, are you gonna put me in the crate? Is it time are you gonna be leaving? Like, it's always constantly thinking ahead. And it's like, just follow my direction. Ivan! And he's happiest and less stressed when he is following your direction. But it takes a long time in the beginning with a rescue dog like him who's been through hell to get him to let go of that need to be so on alert. As you've seen, he's come a long way from where he started. Yeah. He had a lot of issues.
He's gonna want to pee again. It's like fascinating. Because before he never did this, and now he's like
doing
this all the time.
It's probably because there's two kind of instances when this happens. So 2 ages. It's between 8 months to about 11 months.
Okay.
Extra boost of testosterone sets in, and then also a little over a year, like a year and 2 months to a year and 6 months.
So that's, I mean,
he's probably just a little over a year, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay. I bet he's like a year and like 2 months.
Got it.
And they get this extra boost of testosterone. Okay, see right now how he's just in his own world already?
Ivan?
Before anyone or any dog comes.
Ooh, Ivan, look at me. Ivan.
Do you see the change in his demeanor when we kind of are getting to the city? Yeah. Like, this is super low key. This is probably the most low key area I've ever seen in LA, to be honest.
He's very sensitive to bicycles and cars too.
Yeah, look how much he changes. Let's go back up here, get him to relax. Because again, if you don't have him with you mentally right here, when we go down the block, you're not gonna have him with you. Yay! Here, Ivan. Good boy. And he's taking treats, really good. Try to be getting his focus the entire time instead of letting him stare at it and judge it on his own. Yes. You want to just take away all judgment of everything, because he thinks realistically he has to judge everything, every sound, every person, every bicycle, every dog. So anytime, this is a lot to ask in LA, but anytime you have any of those triggers, you should be calling him up to you first instead of letting his mind go. People make the mistake of like, let's just see what he does. And I'm like, let's not ever again, because we know what it turns into. So just immediately, Ivan, up here, yes. And as long as you have his mind, you can then let it go. You know, it's just easier to do it that way. All right, let's try to get him to sit right down here again where he couldn't before. Okay, he can't do it. We give him just a few seconds now. So this is also what we need to do since you've been redirecting him to where he should be for definitely a month, right? Like a month since we did that. Yes, since we did that one session at your place. So a lot of times with reactivity, protective instinct, we need to get it faster. We need to motivate them to let go of that protective instinct faster. You can't do that until you've redirected constantly, you know, doing the giving them their sweet time. Now he knows what you want from him. He needs to do it faster. So basically, if you say sit and he doesn't do it within a few seconds, it's right back here. And so I just did a session like this yesterday. Probably for 30 minutes, we went back and forth. And then he got a little bit further, and then he got stubborn again. So it was like back. So start doing this as well. Like this might be what your walks consist of now. Just like, okay, sit, being stubborn, we go backwards. So now here, I'm gonna give you this. Walk down the stairs, let's try to sit again. But again, we might be going back and forth.
Ivan.
That seemed a little bit, go backwards, but he was getting, you had his focus a little bit more for sure. Yes. It's so crazy what a clear line like the bottom of these stairs are for him. Just the city life is stressful.
Come here. It's the cars.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely the cars.
Yeah. Just everything, he's gotten way more alert. Here's a dog. Back right away. Yep. Good. Have him sit.
Sit.
Wow. I see a huge improvement actually from last time I saw you. If he reacted at a dog a couple weeks ago, it took him a solid like 5 minutes to settle down. And in between those 5 minutes, he didn't take a breath. And he wouldn't follow your direction at all. Now, even though that took him about, not even 30 seconds maybe to calm down. And yes, people wonder like, why did he keep going back barking? I would be just praising the crap out of him that he broke his focus like 4 times to take a breath and like try to follow your direction.
Right.
Yes, he went back, but that's like major.
It's not me dragging him like I normally do.
And typically he'd just be sitting there for, even after the dog passed, be so on edge for that long. So that was huge improvement. Good boy. So being able to really control this distance is so beneficial. So this is what he really needs to be able to work through it. Combination of this as well as breaking the stubbornness. So again, that means if his reward essentially is to just keep going forward and see what else he can be on alert and protective over, then if you're not gonna listen, we go further from what you want, faster. That's what we've been doing, this backward and forward thing. And while it may seem like, oh my God, our whole walk consists of like here, back here, you might not even get outside. Well, you will, of course, but that might be what your walk consists of. He's gonna be mentally exhausted. But you have to put that in. So many people skip, they try to just like let the dog's mind go for a little bit, and the dog's mind is all the way up here and then you're trying to get the dog's mind back, and maybe you'll get it back, but you'll stay in this range your whole walk. To really, you have to have, just with everything in life, you have to have a solid foundation moving out so that you start fresh with every new trigger that's thrown at him. Because when you're working through behavioral issues, you're not just working through some dogs, honestly, there's some dogs that are not stubborn at all, have these issues and are like, oh, I'd gladly look at you and follow your direction, and it's simple. It's fixed. That's kind of rare. Here comes a dog. Call him.
Ivan?
Yes.
Good boy.
Now I would say right there, if he didn't come in one name call. Some dogs I say 3, it just depends on the dog. He's a 1 because if he's not going to respond instantly, he's not responding. So if he doesn't, when this dog comes out over here now, if he's looking up, doesn't respond in 1 name, you're going to be walking this way very quickly. Like I just did this session with a person that basically, and here comes the dog. The first time I went there, she was barking at me the entire time. Now the second time I was there, her owner was like on her every single second, not giving her 1 second to let her mind go and associate me as a negative thing. And she barely barked at me. She grumbled at me the entire time. See, that's super important, is that you just don't let his mind go at all. Actually, this is the perfect amount of dogs that are walking by right here.
Ivan.
Okay, call him.
Ivan.
Go back right away. Yes! And a sit, quick. Yes! Perfect. Call him again once he perks up.
Ivan.
Yes! Oh my goodness, that was so good. That was like the perfect situation. As long as you're at, so let's say we were at half this distance across the street, there's no way that I would have said, let his mind go now a little bit. You have to have too much focus to let a mind go. That's something that you've never had with him, right? Like for as long as you've had him. We've never had the problem of too much focus, and it's the most amazing problem to have. So first it's always been like, oh, don't even look over there, Ivan, right here, right here. Even 2 weeks ago when I saw it, that's what we had to do. It was like, don't let his mind go at all. So now we need to, if he's just, yes! If he's staring like that, we need to be able to let his mind go so that he's looking. Now we have a little bit of a grace period. Instead of when he sees a dog, it's full on lunging, we have a little window, a grace period now, which is the best thing ever, because that's the window that he's like, oh, I think that thing's bad, but it's the window that we can change his natural instinct. And it's like, hey, look over here. And it keeps those thoughts positive. Right. So that's why I say, if he's getting alert, and a really good actually thing that he did was his tail was up and wagging. It's just, I think I've probably told you, tail is never an indicator.
Got it.
It's like the tail was wagging, but it was up. So there's more that goes into it. It's like the height of the tail, the stiffness of the tail. That was when the tail is up and raised, it's like a dominant stance. So yes, it was wagging, but it was because he's getting more focused on the dog, nothing about happy thoughts. So all the happy thoughts are directed to taking his focus off of the dog, honestly. So that situation couldn't have been more perfect for curbing his natural instinct. So also beware that he is very smart. So once you do get his focus and give him a treat, his mind goes back. Which in that controlled of a situation, it was a good thing, because then we could work 2 times at curbing his natural instinct, keeping it from escalating. Does that make sense now? If you have this level of control, which again, you might not have for the next entire week until we meet again and be here. Like you might have to in your neighborhood be like, hi, up here. So you have to just really think.
That little walkway in my place is still a little too short.
Totally.
If that dog comes right in, it's way too close, because it's basically like from here to here, right? So
maybe don't even go out that door.
Yeah.
Because if I'm remembering right, you go up the stairs, you go through a little doorway, and it's still straight.
He definitely sees it from inside the door.
Exactly. So I would try to get that distance that way. I mean, this is a long distance, but you had to find that right distance where he's still, like if we were in here even further, he probably wouldn't care about the dogs at all.
Right.
And that's good for your sake and not barking, but it's not good for his mind's sake to curb it. So you have to find that perfect distance of where, if you let his mind go 100%, it'd be out here, but as long as you can direct him, he's following it. Good boy, Ivan. So call his name.
Ivan.
Run this way right away.
This way?
Yep. Get him to sit. If he goes right back, run again.
Ivan, sit.
Run again.
Ivan.
Perfect.
Sit. Ivan. That's right. Now you're looking. All right. Ivan, sit.
Yay! And again, it's really important that even though they're out of sight, you end it on a sit. That was really good. And so people always tell me like, well, what do I do if my dog just won't respond to me? You find the distance, the spot that they will. You know, like a dog will always. If you're like, oh, immediately we go further from what you want. And that was really good, perfect timing again, because was he grumbling a little bit?
He was, no, he just kept
He was
turning.
like, yeah, mouth was open. He was just
like
kind
he
of.
would go from, I'm walking to I'm looking.
No,
Walking,
yeah.
looking,
And because he wasn't responding to you and you were moving instantly, it kept all thoughts about the dog neutral, positive.
Yeah.
You didn't even give him a chance to let it go down the negative line. And that's what you need for sure. Yeah, that was perfect.
It definitely is true. Like there's a moment of pause when he sees a dog where something's happening in his head, right?
Yeah, that's the perfect, the grace period, I call it, where you can curb that natural instinct, because that's when it's like, he wants to react, but let's teach his new natural instinct to be to look at you, because then it keeps the thoughts neutral and positive about that dog. Now, did we talk about the look command last time?
The look.
Okay, you guys can practice this in your at home too. It just, you know, because we're always saying his name, sometimes it's good to have a specific command that's like, break your focus on that and make eye contact with me.
Okay.
So how I teach this is that I'll hold a treat out here and I'll tell him, look. See how even he's sitting, but he's in his own mind. Like, I'll do this to get that. It's like an average dog at this stage would check in and make eye contact with me just to ask, yes! Just to be like, well, I tried this. What do you want me to do? And so the amount of time that it took him, it wasn't incredibly long. I've had dogs way longer, but it kind of shows the extent of the stubbornness. Yeah, hold him really short so he has no other option to do anything but listen. And so never think that like the distance that he gets to is the judge of progress when you do this. Obviously it is to an extent, but so many people are so focused on rushing and getting him further. Yes! But the more time you take to do this and build the solid foundation of getting his focus, breaking the stubbornness, the better everything's gonna be.
I don't think he's hungry anymore in the streets.
Are you over it?
Are you over? You're done?
I feel like he's kind of checked out. You're such a good boy. You've seriously come so far, little mister. You really have. Yes. You were super obedient today.
I know.
I mean, a bit stubborn, but you can tell it's because he gets consumed by the distractions. So much better than... Every time I see him, it's just crazy improvements. What you can also practice is when you, when you guys get out to the grass, just getting him to sit, because now he's getting into that marking state. And what's really good practice is snapping male dogs out of that sniffing around of all the smells, because they get so obsessed with things. So forcing him to do that will teach him self-control of like regaining his own mind and following direction when he's so obsessed with being somewhere else.